This is music, and this is an overture to madness.
Like bloated maggots they crawl, crawl as if to a dying god. Black of mask and black of cloak, carrying crows a bloody joke.
Welcome to the second episode of Off With Your Head. This is a mini-series that focuses on the metal band Axemaster. In the first episode, we had a look at their debut album from 1987, Blessing in the Skies. I have a reissue right there, right behind me. I also have this reissue, which was given to me by none other than Christopher Michael himself, who sings and plays the bass on Blessing in the Skies, and who was also part of the very early lineup of Axmaster. That's the lineup that actually signed this one, so that is really cool. So they put out their debut album, Blessing in the Skies, in 87. And then after that, they put out some singles and some promo materials, some demos. You even have some compilations. There were lineup changes. Some of the members were involved in other projects. Fast forward to 2015, and they released their second full length album. It's this one right here, Overture to Madness. And this is what we're going to be talking about in this video. I will be breaking down the album song by song, so this is going to be a longer video and more in depth. And if I look down like this, full disclosure, I'm just checking my notes. So, the cover artwork is awesome. It reminds me a little bit of that Peter Clay's piece. I think it's called Still Life, A Skull and a Writing Quill. I don't know if this is another Peter Clash piece or if it's just inspired by Peter Clash. I don't know, but it's an awesome piece of cover artwork, and it's perfect for a metal album. And it's perfect for a metal album as dark and intense as Overture to Madness. Let's get down to business. The first track is called Entering Madness. It's an atmospheric instrumental. It's very dark. It has church bells, it has chanting, and it has some quite intense guitar work as well. So it's kind of occult, and it's kind of unsettling in a way. But it's the perfect opener for this album, and it kind of fits the vibe of the cover artwork very well. So that's cool. The first proper track is Sanity's Requiem. It's a heavy song. It's a dark song as well. It has a chugging main riff that reminds me a little bit of Eye of the Beholder by Metallica. And I think that's cool because I love that song. The chorus is kind of doomy, like doom metal. It's basically like sped up doom metal. And I think that is really interesting. And it works very well. And you have a lot of just really, really tense chromatic scale work throughout the song, which fits that, I guess, the theme of madness very well, I think. It's a really good song. I think it's great. On this album, the vocalist is Geoff McGraw, and he has quite gruff singing style, but it's ultimately very melodic, and he's a great singer. You actually heard some of his singing in the introduction music to this video, which is a snippet from a brand new Axemaster song from their upcoming album. The song is called The Murder of Crows, and the album is called Of Beasts and Plagues. And as you can hear, the guy is a great singer. Um, I have actually heard the entire upcoming album, and I think it's great. You got something to look forward to. I will return to the new album or the upcoming album later on in this video. Great singer, and it's already time for Joe Sims to give us a bit of behind the scenes insight. He's going to tell us the story of how Geoff McGraw joined Axemaster and what happened at his audition. Take it away, Joe.
Okay, so our next behind the scenes thing fast forwards up to 2012, I do believe, when I first found our longtime singer and band brother, Geoff McGraw. He had done a last ditch effort to try and find a band and put an ad on Craigslist that I read and called him right away. So he was coming over for an audition. Now all the music from the Overture to Madness album had already been written and recorded. It was all down. We just needed a singer to write the words and sing on the album. So I started playing him the song that became Forsaken. And he was like, "Oh man, dude, I have words that I think would just like fit that song perfectly." So his audition was part of Forsaken, and the way he had written that song, I don't know how long before the audition, we used it. I mean, he basically auditioned recording his words to a song just off the cuff that ended up being used as the words for the song.
How about that? Don't say I'm not spoiling you. Anyways, the third track, Forsaken, is it's almost like a power thrasher. At least the opening is quite power thrashy. And you got some demented lead guitar work, demented in the good way, in the sense that fits an album called Overture to Madness, if you know what I mean. Great lead guitar work. It's kind of a mid-tempo song overall, but it feels very heavy and it's strangely groovy. And I don't have a problem with that. I love groove in my metal, but it also has thrashy undertones. I don't have a problem with that either because I'm an old thrash head as well. So, I mean, I'm a happy camper. Um, you got some really cool melodic and tasty guitar solo work in this excellent song. The vocals are similar to what you hear in Sanity's Requiem, but you even have some growls here. And I think that's really cool that Axemaster, a veteran band, that they take some inspiration from, the extreme metal scene that came after Axemaster. I love it when older, more veteran bands are inspired by younger bands. I just think it's great. And you've got some growls on here, so that's great. The next track is called Dream or Nightmare. This is more of a melodic song. It's kind of a ballad in a way. You have some really nice bass work in this song. Um, but you have that crushing guitar as well, which I would say characterizes the entire album. Um, and you got some gnarly pinch notes as well, and that's great. Uh, you got some nice flourishes in the bass, and I always like that, little details in the bass work. And like I said, it's kind of a ballad, and some people at least who know me know that I tend to not like ballads, but that's hair and glam metal power ballads. I don't hate ballads per se. I like good ballads, and this is the kind of ballad that I actually like. So Dream or Nightmare, great ballad. Um, the vocals are in a higher register. It's not like a high register, it's still mid-range, but Geoff McGraw goes into a higher register, and that fits the ballad very well. And it also shows that he's a really, really, really good singer for sure. So, yeah, a ballad that I like, that's great. The next track is 30 Pieces of Silver. This is another kind of power thrasher, in my opinion. You also have some groove in this song, and you have some quite intense lead guitar work and some really, really heavy riffs. Uh, and the lead guitar work is a little bit similar to the lead guitar work on Blessing in the Skies. And I thought that was such a cool reference back to Blessing in the Skies, especially given my newfound appreciation of Blessing in the Sky. So I just thought that was a really cool connection there. Um, so yeah, that's great. Uh, there's a really cool up-tempo bridge with it's downright thrashy to my ears, I have to say. So this song slaps, as I don't know if people say that anymore, but it slaps. It's a great song. The vocals are consistent throughout the album. Great singer, He keeps a consistent singing style. It's still expressive, and he his singing style serves the songs very well, and I appreciate that. The next track is called Crimson Haze, and this has a bit of a doomy opening. The song is somewhere in between thrash and doom metal, and then you got some quite dark grooves to it as well. So thrash and doom, interesting combination. I'm a happy camper because, like I said, I'm an old thrash head. Um, and I mean groove metal. I like groove metal, I have to say, and I also love doom metal. So I mean, I feel really spoiled with this album, to be honest. You got some really cool riffage in the bridge, and you have a nice blistering guitar solo as well. And this is another really intense song, and it's another really good song as well. The next song is Peeling Skin, which definitely sounds kind of nasty. The song itself is more of a dark and brooding track. You got clean guitars in it, and there's some interesting back and forth between quite simple, clean guitar sections and then distorted, quite heavy sections. So this is kind of dynamic and tension and contrast, which I think is really cool. Um, you also have kind of sped up doom metal vibes to this one, and this one has another tasty guitar solo, and it's just another great song. And the vocals on here are kind of soulful. So Geoff McGraw taps into a more soulful style of singing, which kind of fits this dark and brooding song very well. Again, he's a very consistent singer, but he does, like I said, tap into different ranges and styles and so on that fit the songs very well. And I think that's the sign that uh, we're dealing with a good singer, if you know what I mean. The next track is called Sinister. This starts out with just an epic guitar solo, and you even have like in the background like dark like synth strings, I think. Um, this is another quite doomy song. You have some really heavy and doomy riffs in this one, but you also have some quite up tempo parts. So this is a great song with a quite heavy and intense bridge. I've used the word intense a couple of times now. I also used it a lot in the first episode. Intensity is the key word when it comes to Axemaster. Anyways, it has a very heavy and intense bridge with some cool cymbal work on the drums. And you got another blistering solo, which is borderline chaotic. And it serves this theme of madness very well. It's a great song. Uh, again, Geoff McGraw keeps like a consistent singing style, but this time he actually hits some really high notes in the chorus, kind of like Ripper Owens, like, if you know what I mean. So another great song, Sinister. Uh, it's followed by another song. Of course, it's an album. You got songs on it. Anyways, it's called Statue of Liberty. This is another really intense song, and one of the riffs kind of made me think of like just a swarm of raging hornets, and very unsettling, disturbing, unpleasant guitar riff, but artistically expressive, and it fits the song very well. I'm sure it's by design that we're going for an unsettling vibe. Um, this song is kind of dizzying overall because the lead guitar work is so intense. Um, The solo does have some melodic and tasty elements for sure, but it's really intense and it's kind of dizzying to the listener. And again, I think it's by design. And the background riffs are also like super intense. Um, excellent song. Very unsettling though, so be warned, I guess. This time the vocals again consistent style, but I get kind of King Diamond vibes from the vocals, which I think is obviously cool. Uh, given that you know King Diamond and myself, we come from the same country, and Merciful Fate and all that good stuff. Um, great song, Statue of Liberty. Um, the next song is called Ashes. This is another song that has thrashy elements, in my opinion. Especially some of the riffs are quite thrashy. You also have some very cool cymbal accentuations in this song. You get crazy guitar licks all over the place. Um, and the bridge is kind of demented sounding. And again, perfect for an album called Overture to Madness. Ashes is just a cool song overall, again, with really good vocals. Um, the next track is called Child with a Y and an E. Um, Now, this is interesting. I get kind of old school death metal vibes from the main riff. It's not a death metal song, but the main riff has this chromatic figure that just makes me think of like old school late 80s, early 90s death metal. And I think that's really cool. It's almost like a slowed down, old school kind of death thrash informed song, and I think that is really cool. You have a lot of thrashy elements for sure throughout the entire song, and you have just a super cool, very heavy bridge that combines atmosphere and doomy heaviness, I would say. And you get just a crazy guitar solo and great vocals again. So Childer, I think, is a really interesting song and it should appeal to doom metal fans, thrash metal fans, maybe even old school death metal fans. I happen to be a fan of all those genres, so like I said, I'm a happy camper. The next track, the penultimate track, is called Dark Souls, which is just a cool title in itself. It's another doomy song, uh, and the lead guitar is kind of dissonant sounding. It's very tense. I'm sure it's intentionally dissonant. It has to be. Um, but it's just super tense sounding. And this has some really excellent heavy riffage just throughout the entire song. It's less varied than the other songs, more like, I don't want to say more consistent, but there are less things going or fewer things going on in this song than the other songs. Um, but still, a riff fest. Just great, solid, heavy riffs. It's great. And the last track is called Epic. Good title. It's 7 minutes of madness, heavy riffs. Again, you have a lot of chromatic stuff going on in, um, a lot of the riffs. And I would say that this kind of chromatic approach to a lot of the riff writing and a lot of the solos too creates this again intensity and this kind of feeling of insanity, I would say. So kudos for thinking that into the music itself. You got some really cool simple work again on this track. You got blistering, chaotic guitar solo work, but you also have melodic and tasty stuff. And I like how Joe Sims can go back and forth between just tasty, melodic, almost catchy, memorable guitar work, and then guitar work that is so blisteringly chaotic that it sounds like it's on the verge of just completely falling apart, but it doesn't. I really like that he's able to operate with those two very different I guess, poles of the lead guitar style spectrum, if you know what I mean. Excellent. Uh, I would say Epic is kind of a progressive song in its own dark way, I think. And it's the perfect conclusion to a very dark, very heavy, very intense album, which will be a challenging listen, I think, to people who are maybe not used to metal music. Um, but I think it's a great album overall. Um, the vocals here, again, same consistent style. Sounds less gruff though, and you have more high notes as well. Again, showing that this guy is a great singer. So overall, I actually really like the production. It's crushingly heavy, just the production. It's not polished. I mean, it's not like black metal lo-fi either, but it's unpolished and it adds this just crushing heaviness. The guitar tone is very dry and compact, and it packs a punch, I tell you, and it fits the overall vibe of this album very well. It's an album of contrasts, I would say. You got clean guitar parts, you got crushingly heavy guitar parts, juxtaposed, very often just next to each other in the same song and even in the same sections of songs. Very intense music overall, and I would consider it like traditional heavy metal, with all those doom and thrash and power and even like old school death metal influences. And that also makes it darker than traditional heavy metal typically is, I would say. Um, y- yeah, you have especially a lot of doom and thrash elements, and I really love how they draw on doom and thrash metal just because I love those two genres. Most of the songs are mid-tempo, and then you got some slightly up-tempo songs as well, but they still sound incredibly heavy, even the more up-tempo songs. The guitar work, intense, heavy, and I just, like I said, the guitar tone, dry, packs a punch. I love that guitar tone. Um, the guitar solos are maybe less chaotic and less blistering than on Blessing in the Skies, but they still have that chaos to them. And they're more like tasty and melodic parts as well. But you can definitely hear like this is Axemaster lead guitar work. So I think that's awesome. And you do have some like all out demented elements in the lead guitar work as well. And again, that kind of reflects and expresses the sense of madness, I think. So that's great. The vocals, there is a dark quality to Jeff's voice for sure. He does melodic vocals, he does clean vocals, but like I said, he sounds kind of gruff. And that also fits metal music, I would say, just in general. And I would say there are also like groove metal vibes to his singing style, which I am a big fan of. So I think it's great. And he also has, like I said, he does have range to his singing style. He's consistent, but there is range. He can hit high notes, he can hit low notes, mid range, different singing styles. Just super professional vocalist, I think. So that's great. Um, the drumming, and that's also Brian Henderson, who also played on Blessing in the Skies. There's more like clockwork precision to his drumming on this album. It still has that dynamic drive because I think it's just part of his playing style. But it's more like precise on this album, and I think that is necessary for an album that is this intense. You need some precise drumming for sure. Overall, this is a challenging listen, I think, especially, like I said, to people who might not be that much into metal. But I can imagine that it would be challenging to even experienced metal fans as well. Uh, and it's because of this intensity and how this sense of madness is encapsulated in especially the more demented sounding parts of the music, but just it's like it's there lurking beneath the surface and it breaks out in a lot of the songs. Um, so it's a great album. It's awesome, I think. And I like how they use chromatic scales to encapsulate this madness. Great album. If you like dark, heavy metal with elements of doom and thrash, this is definitely worth checking out. Great vocals, great guitar work, great drumming, great bass playing. Uh, Not super polished, but that's the good thing about the production. It's not super polished, it's crushingly heavy. Great album. So, awesome album. And like I said, Axemaster, they have another album on the way. And you heard an excerpt from one of the songs, The Murder of Crows, in the introduction. And in the outro, you will hear snippets from two other unreleased songs so far from the upcoming album of Beasts and Plagues. And like I said, I've been lucky enough uh, to have the opportunity to listen to the entire album, and it's great. If you like this album, you're gonna like Of Beasts and Plagues. That is for sure. There will be, as far as I understand, there will be a fundraiser. The label will put out a fundraiser. That way you can directly support the band, and I think that's cool. That's what Blaze Bailey does as well. I don't know exactly how the fundraiser is going to work at this moment, but I know there will be one, and I know I will definitely chip in. That is for sure. There you go. Overture to Madness. Excellent album. In the third video, we will talk about their third full length album, Crawling Chaos. For now, off with your head. No, I'm just kidding. Thanks for watching.